6 needed, and that could be the winning hit. It is. It's 6 for Lewis Gregory, and Somerset have won by 6 wickets. Tremendous win for Somerset, chasing down 194 to win, with Will Smead leading the way.
I could just sit here and listen to the bird song all night. It's lovely. Right, so we crack on then. Hello there, this is Always Look at the Bright Side of Life, the Somerset Cricket Podcast. My name's Ian Shepherd. Joining me to dissect the first round of County Championship games of the 2026 season, I've got Steve Tancock. Steve is still exiled up north. How are you, Steve?
I'm very well, thank you, Ian.
Good, good. And also with me tonight, I've got the president of the club, Peter Wanless. Peter, you... first in your life, I gather, you did all 4 days of a championship game this week at the Cooper Associates County Ground. Peter's either frozen or he's looking at me very, very quizzically. Is the Wi-Fi to the Sean Dixon party barn down, if that's where you are, Peter? Well, we'll leave Mr. President for a little while. And finally, having resisted the temptation to wear a Somerset tracksuit to emulate his colleague Dave Bracegirdle in the commentary box this week, we have the voice of cricket on BBC Radio Somerset, Anthony Gibson. Gibbo, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Bit weary. It was quite a long 4 days.
It was indeed. I think Peter's back with us. Peter, I was just informing our listener, I say listeners in the hope that we have more than one, that the game against Nottinghamshire was your first ever all 4 days at a championship match without interruption.
I'm pretty sure that's correct. Actually, I missed a slight bit of the first afternoon to pick Lady W up from the station, but other than that, I don't think I've ever been to all 4 days of a game before. So yeah, I don't feel at all wearied by it. I think it was a competitive and interesting game, and yeah, looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, well, you didn't have to do 6.5 hours of commentary yesterday.
There were some interesting bits there, Gibbo. Somerset had
the afternoon wasn't very gripping, was it?
No, but morning and evening,
half an hour.
Morning and evening weren't too bad. I mean, let's start at the beginning. Hazib Hamid wins the toss, sticks Somerset's 31st opening partnership since the retirement of Marcus Trescothick in. Josh Thomas and Tom Kohler-Cadmore taken to the crease for the first time. Josh, I thought, should we start with Josh Thomas? Because he's having a nice little start to his career, I thought. Rode his luck a little bit, seeing off the new ball, but against quality bowlers like that, you sometimes have to earn your luck. And I thought he looked very composed. And then once he saw off the shine of the new ball, batted very well with James Rue. And I think possibly to pay Josh quite a high compliment is looking at them from a distance. They are quite difficult to tell apart. So he's obviously doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, that was a very important 40 runs that he scored. Arguably, it saved us the game, because we could have been 5 or 6 down at lunchtime on that pitch against that bowling. I mean, they bowled really, really well, Pennington and Stone in the first hour, and Josh Thomas gritted his teeth, and yeah, he had a bit of luck, but he played very, very well, and it was 40 that was probably worth 80, and it meant that we got through to lunch with, what was it, 3 down, when we could have been 5 or 6 down. And that laid the platform for the partnership that followed between James Rue and Tom Abel, and then on to the 347, which didn't quite insulate us from defeat. But on that pitch, it meant that something fairly extraordinary was going to have to happen for either side to win, and certainly for Somerset to lose. So, yeah, it was that first 90 minutes absolutely crucial.
Yeah, I felt the same. It was really tough batting conditions, and Pennington looked absolutely class bowler really throughout the game, sort of head and shoulders above their other bowlers. Although Stone, particularly in the first innings, bowled well, and the Notts people were saying they thought that was the best that they'd seen him bowl for them. I mean, bear in mind they've got Fergus O'Neill, they've got Josh Tongue, they've got Brett Hutton, none of whom were playing. You could argue, as they did, it was a good time for us to be playing them. Nevertheless, that first 90 minutes against those two was really tough. The only thing for Josh Thomas, I guess, is that he would have been kicking himself to get out to the spinner after doing all that work to secure the innings at the top of the order. But it feels harsh to criticise him for that because, yeah, it was probably harder to bat than at any other time in the game.
It was. He got a good ball as well. It was a good one from Patterson
Right.
White that got him drifting away from him. It was, But I just wonder if he's as good against spin as he is against seam, because we haven't really seen him much against spin. But I suppose he played Harmer at Chelmsford pretty well last summer. So I'm not sure.
We'll have to again next week.
I'm not sure whether
He's
Thomas
going to find out next week,
the
aren't
answer to our opening batting problems, though. I don't know.
Well, Steve, I mean, we sort of talked about it being the most difficult time to bat. It was the most difficult time to bat for the whole match because we've seen now for a couple of years that pitches at Taunton, they're starting relatively spicy-ish, and then they're just going flat for the next 2 or 3 days. That kind of played into the thoughts of the declaration as well on the fourth day, which we'll get to. But I'm just wondering, is it automatically bowl first, or do you? I don't know. I mean, there's no. Does it become a bowl first wicket automatically at Taunton now, knowing that you can
It's a
chase on the
hard
last inning?
decision not to bowl first at the moment, isn't it? I did a thing last night where I did a list and I did things that pleasantly surprised me and things that didn't surprise me at all. And what we've talked about was one in each category, because obviously, was it 14 for 2? And I'm thinking, as you did probably, this could be 60 for 5 by lunchtime, was here we go again, new season, same old. But then, absolutely, the fact, TKC, yeah, he got his runs in the second innings, but for a youngster to bat as he did with 2 more experienced players getting done at the other end, and I'm sure Tom Abel feels his 100 was partly owed to the work Josh Thomas did in the morning. But it's hard to see, and we said this in the pre-season, it's hard to see how this Somerset bowling attack, Gibbo said it right up front on the comms, how the bowling attack is going to get 20 wickets against good championship sides.
On that pitch.
I didn't think, well, yeah, okay, on a decent, everything else being equal, on a decent pitch, I didn't think knots were, from my removed distance and observations, as good as I thought they were going to be. And maybe that's harsh, but if somebody gave me 50p to put on somebody winning the championship this season, they wouldn't get my 50p after that.
They bat a long way. They bat a long way down. They've got as Peter's just said. I mean, at full strength, they've got a tremendous attack. I mean, Patterson White isn't a great left-arm spinner, so they haven't got much in the way of a spin option. But their seam bowling attack is as good as any in the country. And they've got Centurions down to 8 or 9, I think, in their batting order. So they're a decent side. I thought it was a good result for Somerset, especially bear in mind we lost Lewis Gregory. We lost our captain and one of the 2 leaders of the attack. For that, with a draw, same number of points as the reigning county champions. I thought that's pretty good. I think we'll be happier than they are at the outcome.
I think,
especially after they won the toss.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I think we bowled very well in the first innings. I mean, the pitch is a problem, isn't it? Because we've got this penalty point deduction hanging over us, and now we've got this new rule that if someone determines that a wicket is below average, then the home side gets 0 points from the game. So it's teeing up, cautious pitch preparation when what we really want is competitive wickets that give a fighting chance of 40 wickets in 4 days. And I'm not quite sure, who'd be a groundsman.
yes, it is very difficult because you talk to the players, you talk to the spectators. I mean, players love a quick, fast game because it means, you know,
They get to play
playing
golf
some
on the
intense
fourth
cricket.
day.
It's normally over in 2.5 days. So, you know, we'd all love to, you know, if we've got to work on whatever job you're doing, if you've got a 4-day project and you get it done in 2.5 days, that's fantastic. You can tell, but it took me 4 days exactly, boss, and, you know, have an extra day and a half off. Everybody loves getting the work done a bit quickly. It's better for the spectators. They're generally seeing good fighting cricket with a result. Generally, the clubs don't lose much on the 4th day because they sell the hospitality mostly for the first 2 days. I'm not saying go out and prepare minefields deliberately, but go a little bit easier and don't judge your findings on what Lord Botham has to say about surfaces.
What we need is a pitch that crumbles, or not crumbles, but offers some spin in days 3 and 4, because the pitch regulation says it's below average if it spins on days 1 and 2, so that, you know, it's allowed to spin on days 3 and 4.
Yeah.
The trouble is the Taunton pitch, you know, it might spin a bit on day 1, but it sure as hell doesn't spin on day 4. As we saw yesterday afternoon when poor old Jack Leach was trying to get something out of it.
If our pitch had spun like
7 or 8 either.
If our pitch had spun like Sophia Gardens was spinning yesterday afternoon, we could have declared a whole lot earlier.
Yeah,
because Mason Crane was turning it sideways, you know. So and Glamorgan felt able to set a target, and yeah, that's I you know, again, this is way beyond my knowledge of how you prepare pitches, but absolutely, if we could get it spinning better later, that might be the answer. Well, it would be. It would give us a whole lot more chance of taking those 20 wickets, Steve.
Yep.
Well, you look at the Warwickshire game a couple of years ago when Tom Abel got a big unbeaten 100. What did they set us that final day?
440?
Yep.
Yeah, something like
that. It was 400, wasn't
it? At a canter in the end. I know it was a few years ago at Middlesex when they won in, I think it was 2016.
345 overs.
Yes. You are going to, as a captain, declaring your 4th innings, or declaring for the 4th innings at Taunton, you've got to be a little bit pragmatic, I think. And I don't really seem to remember a generous declaration and dangling the carrot at Taunton ever paying off in recent years. Surrey were kind of the architects of their own misfortune a couple of years ago. They just didn't play any positive cricket at all and ended up just collapsing in a heap in a sort of a freak of a result. A couple of years ago, we did bowl Notts out in the 4th innings for 90 odd. But again, that wasn't setting the game up. That was just a game. Well, maybe we did declare second innings. Anyway,
I had a look at. Sorry, I had a look at Notts' results from last season, and they won the county championship not by cavalier cricket of risking a loss in order to win. They played attritional, big runs in the first innings, not losing. So they won 7, they drew 6, and they lost 1. So it's possible to win the county championship. It's not as entertaining for the spectators, but you know, they found a way of doing it which didn't require the sort of declarations which a lot of people were kind of calling out for yesterday, particularly Nottinghamshire supporters, for, you know, slightly self-interested reasons. But for, you know, whereas from our point of view, I think securing a highly creditable draw first game of the season against the champions without, you know, on the start of the 3rd day, as I set off to go to the ground, I said to Lady W, who isn't a huge kind of cricket fan, we can't win this game. We've got to be absolutely sure we don't lose it. When I went at the start of the 4th day, I said to her, we could possibly win this game, and they certainly can't. So there was a particularly that third day, the magnificent bowling, which we can come to, and batting turned the game around and gave us that slim chance. But then we still come back to this challenge of taking wickets in the fourth innings, don't we?
But also, Peter, putting my commercial head on this, it's very difficult to persuade people on Bank Holiday Monday to part with their money and come to watch that, because any of us, I'm sure if we're all honest with ourselves, we didn't expect what happened to be much different at the start of the day from the end of the day. And as Anthony said, if you can get a pitch that's got a bit of spin and uneven bounce within the regulations on the fourth day, mindset of going to the game would have been very different. And I think that is a consideration, because you've got to make cricket attractive. And you rightly said Notts won the championship by being attritional. But, I doubt if they packed Trent Bridge to the rafters with people saying, well, let's go and watch a day's attrition here. And when Anthony says wearily after 6.5 hours of commentating on that yesterday, which over the years we've been doing these pods, he said that a lot of times, and I empathise with him a lot of times, although I'm dead jealous of him, but I empathise with him a lot of times. But that to me is a problem as well, because, I would much rather go along to the fourth day and think there's jeopardy in this. And if we get a couple of early wickets, and once we lost those two relatively quick wickets yesterday morning, and the equation then shifted, didn't it? Even though Lammonby, Abel and Co did very well, James Rew not James Rew, Lammonby and Abel on day 4 to get a declarable total, it sort of tilted it even less in favour of there being a positive result.
I thought Craig Everton got the decoration spot on.
Yeah, me too.
I think he did in the circumstances.
They'd obviously decided that 60 overs would give them an outside chance of bowling Notts out. And I think that was, I think they probably decided that at the start of the day, or even overnight. And there was absolutely no mileage at all in giving Notts a sniff of winning on that pitch, when, because our number one weapon on day 4, Jack Leach, was completely neutralised by the pitch. He bowled his heart out as ever, but there was just, it was nothing in it. And if they'd had the chance to win, and they could have put the foot down, and they could have scored very quickly, as we saw in the morning with Tom Lammonby and Tom Abel.
I think it was the fact that they were able to score quickly which set the alarm bells ringing that we could potentially still lose this. Because as you said, they were, Abel and Lammonby were going along very, very nicely, scoring at 8 and over when they wanted to with very little risk. And I sort of think, at no real point after we sort of got up to after the first day was I kind of thinking this game is going to meander to a draw is anything but the most likely result. After we bowled them out sort of 10 ahead first innings, whatever it was always going to be a tough ask to get a result in the time.
Yeah.
I suppose my slightly very positive hope was that Alfie Ogborne would be able to deliver a spell like that one he delivered in the first innings, and what a brilliant interview that was, Gibbo, that he gave to you at the end of the second day's play. It's really interesting and articulate.
Last week I said he's my pick for One Day Cup captain. He's the man. He is the man. Alfie's the man.
He spoke beautifully.
He does. I would imagine he'd have absolutely no problem with the leadership aspect of captaincy.
It was very interesting as well, the way he talked about his evolution as a bowler. From as a schoolboy being able to swing it, and then growing up trying to bowl faster and losing the ability to swing it, and now getting that ability back again. And if he can bring it back, slant across, and then bring that one back in the way that he did to remove Verena and Clark, he's potentially a real weapon.
And even though he's not express at the pace he bowls, that's very difficult to play, that delivery you just described.
Quick, he was the quickest. He was the quickest. of the bowlers. He was quicker than Pennington and quicker than Stone.
And he was sending down a few bouncers on that last evening, and he looked genuinely sharp. And you would have to be pretty rapid to get anything out of that surface.
Yeah, I mean,
Sort of
the fastest ball of the match was 84 miles an hour, which Alfie bowled to Ben Slater. It was a full toss, and he smashed it through covers for 4. None of the others got anywhere near 84 miles an hour. This is on the Taunton speed gun, which is, in Ben Warren's words, conservative. In other words, it underestimates the actual speed. But you had Craig Overton bowling at about 75 miles an hour, Pennington at about 75 miles an hour, Stone was a little bit quicker, and Alfie consistently was at or just above 80 miles an hour. And so, in comparison terms, he's quicker than Craig, he's quicker than Pennington, and he's quicker than Stone, which makes him pretty quick. And that combination of pace and swing, if he can maintain it, is really potentially potent.
Well, Joe Clark is a fantastic player, and to knock his off stump back on 92 after he's been in for God knows how many long, and Verena as well was well set, and to mop those two up within the space of 2 or 3 balls in that one magic over, that potentially stops Somerset from conceding a first innings lead and being put in a
crucial
situation come the end of the game. So it's a lovely knack to have, isn't it? Knocking blokes over when they're on 92.
And isn't it great, here we are 20 minutes in, that we've identified 2 of the key contributions in the game coming from the 2 least experienced players in the side?
Yeah. Well, we haven't even mentioned James Rue yet.
The veteran.
The veteran. The man who, I mean, I was going to sit and try and make up some unbelievable stats, but the club dropped a bit of a clanger when they tweeted out that only John Bradman and Sachin Tendulkar have had more first-class centuries at James Rue's age, and it kind of transpired that you have to be very careful using Google these days, because the top half of the page, the top half of the page gives you what their bloody AI chatbot thinks, and then the real answer is kind of several rows below. So you have to
AI doesn't know
have to watch what you're looking. I learnt my lesson. I think it said that Andy Caddick was our record first-class wicket taker, and I sort of took a step back. I thought, well, that's not right, and lo and behold, it wasn't. So yes, beware of AI. What we talk about, I think we need to give Alfie a bit more of a chat. What impressed me, I mean, if you want to watch cricket, in my opinion, go and watch it on the Thatcher's deck. It's the best view on the ground. At least there might not be much seating there, but do half an hour stood there. It is a wonderful view. And just watching Alfie running in, it was incredible just how smooth his run it was. I didn't see him on Saturday by all accounts. He was a bit arum scarum and tried to sort of tear in. But certainly watching him other time, he was just very smooth. He was just coming in, and you talk about alignment, just coming in at a lovely angle, approaching the wicket to sort of get it in that lovely little spot where if it swings back into the right hander, you can wrap them on the pads or knock them over. Or if you just, a bit of a wobble seam, it will just go on and you can sort of look for the neck. It was just a joy to watch. And, I mean, we've been talking pretty much all winter about what a great season this is going to be for Alfie Ogborne. I saw a piece on Cricinfo where they asked 5 or 6 of the captains sort of 6 bullet point questions. They asked Lewis Gregory, give us a dark horse for the season, and he picked Alfie Ogborne. Says straight away Alfie Ogborne's going to have a great season, and from what we've seen, I think he's had maybe an hour and a half of getting ahead of himself, and then straight away you just knew that if this is the Alfie Ogborne that we've listened to and heard people talk about for the last couple of years, you just know that he's going to go, drop the bollock there, and I just need to, just rein it back and listen to the coaches as well, and listen, he's got some fantastic mentors to listen to there, Steve Kirby, Craig Overton, there's some brilliant seam bowling knowledge there that you can tap into, and I think the world's his oyster at the moment. And we were talking about James Rue and Jack Leach potentially losing them to England. It is not beyond the realms of possibility if Alfie Ogborne carries on the way that he started in this first block of championship games. We could potentially lose 3 players to England.
Maybe. Don't get too carried away. Casey Aldridge had a very good first game for us last season.
Well, he did, yeah. But I mean, yeah, it's a little bit. I mean, another enjoyable part of this game was sort of ex-Somerset player watch. I mean, what were the notables there? Bashir got fined 5 runs for fake fielding.
And 2 wickets.
And 2 wickets. George Bartlett, I think, is
saved the game.
The winner. Yeah, what an innings from Bart. 95, unbeaten, seeing Northants to a draw against Lancashire.
I'm so pleased for George. He's such a nice guy, and he's had hasn't been easy for him at Northants, and to do something like that, I was really, really pleased for him.
Still for me, he's one that I wish we could have got the best out of George, because he, 100 up at Trent Bridge, some just watching some of the shots that he's played, he just makes it look so effortless. I think he is probably the one that got away. Sean Dixon didn't really set the world alight at Glamorgan, his first Champo game up there. Missing anybody?
Casey Aldridge.
Casey.
Yeah, 40. What did
Ben Green.
And Ben Green. Ben Green, 43 not out.
Yeah,
and wickets.
Davey injured.
No, it's good to see.
Surprised. That's it. I think we can still make a bloody good championship 11 out of those. Yeah, we have mentioned James Rue. We haven't mentioned James Rue. Should we start mentioning him now? Well, we did mention him, to just reiterate the fact that we haven't mentioned him. But crucial runs, first innings, century, second innings. I mean, you just kind of run out of superlatives for the lad, don't you?
He batted beautifully. But I tell you what, Tom Abel was the pick of the Somerset batsmen in that game. He looked in as good a form as I've ever seen him. He hardly played a full shot, and particularly in the second innings, I mean, obviously buoyed up by his century in the first innings, but he just seemed so full of confidence. He was moving his feet, was timing the ball. It was just, it's really good to see Tom Abel. I mean, with James Rue, you almost sort of take it for granted now that he's going to score runs. But to see Tom Abel batting as well as he did, that really did my old heart good. That did, because I'm very fond of Tom Abel, and I want to see him have a tremendous season.
I mean, one thing that James Rue scored, if memory serves, didn't Rue get 100 the first game last season as well? I think he got 150 odd.
Yeah, in partnership with Banton.
But I think one thing that he's taken a little bit of time to get going at the start of the season the last few years, as Abe. So to see him kind of hit the ground running with runs, very different kind of runs as well, as you say, Gibbo, that quite attritional 100 in the first innings, and then going out and playing in the freedom when we need to score quickly second innings. That's a massive tick. We're going to lose Tom Abel to England as well now.
Two things, Shep. I think number one, I'm with Gibbo ×2, and I thought after that 100, is it possible to love Tom Abel in a Somerset shirt any more than I did at the start of the season? The answer is probably yes. And then he put an exclamation point on it with the contribution yesterday. The other thing, and this is not to contradict what I've said or denigrate TKC's 100, but I think one of the things with James Rue is he makes it easier for batters at the other end. He's that good now. I'd love to his homework for Dan when he listens to see how many times James Rue's featured in a partnership where his partner has got 100. And I bet it's quite a high percentage of, relatively speaking.
Yeah,
that's just a wild perception. But I think he's so good that, there's always that way in any level of cricket. If you've got a stellar player at one end, you sort of maybe don't bowl as well at the other guy. And it must be lovely batting with him. Lovely, because he keeps the scoreboard ticking over. So even if you're having a tough time for a few overs, he's like, okay, I got this. And then, and the shots he reels off are just a joy to watch, aren't they? It's just phenomenal.
He seems to be pacing a little bit better, I think. He seems to be able to go through the gears. I mean, he was always very, very good, but I think what he's able to do now is he's able to switch up when he needs to a lot better.
I'd like to see him opening the batting with TKC.
Well, I would as well. I mean, we've been saying this for what 2-3 years now since he came into the side. He looks like an opener in waiting, and I mean, I think we need to be getting the gloves off him at the earliest opportunity, just so he can move up the order.
So can I ask you all the question then? Would you, I know the reason why he batted at 3 in the second innings, would you now flip him and Tom Lammonby in the order and bat James Rew at 3 until his brother can come in and keep?
No, I'd put him. I'd use him to open with TKC. I think Josh Thomas and TKC, they're both a bit chancy, you know. And I'd like to see Josh Thomas, you know, brought in lower down in the order. I think it's asking a lot of him to open the innings. Whereas James Rew is.
So would you shift everyone up and bat him 6 then, Gibbo?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And if James Rew is going to get into the England side, it won't be as wicketkeeper. He's got to get in as a batsman, pure and simple. Jamie Smith has got the gloves and will keep the gloves. You know, he got a big 100 yesterday, and he's genuine class. But there is a vacancy potentially at the top of the order, potentially even 2 vacancies at the top of the order. And if James Rew can demonstrate his credentials as a left-handed opening bat, I think he's got a real chance of playing for England.
And as well, I don't think we're asking somebody to change their game to open the batting.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Morgan have shifted Asa Tribe up the order. He doesn't really look like an opener, but they've put him there because that's where
he's good.
The vacancy is. He's a very good player, but
yeah,
are you kind of trying to put a little bit of a, you know, footballing parlance is a bit of a Lampard and Gerrard situation. You don't necessarily want to play the two together, and if you're trying to fit a round peg in a square hole, it doesn't always work. James just looks every inch, temperament, technique, everything looks like an opener for Somerset and England for the next 15 years plus. And I think, you know, nobody's moaning that Steve Smith let his leg spin drift to improve his batting because he's now one of the best in the world. I think the same could, you know, I think the potential with James with a bat is the sky's the limit, and you know, records are there to be broken for him. I just think is naturally his game is going to be as an opener over the next few years. And if his brother, who looks the more natural middle order player, takes the gloves, then I think that's a win-win for everyone, really.
Question for Peter and Gibbo. What's your take on Lewis Goldsworthy's first game of the season?
I thought he batted well in the second innings. He's got the shots.
Yeah.
And he's got. I think the great thing from his perspective is he's going to get an extended run. He's not under pressure for his place in the side. That ought to allow him to find his own way at his own time. Without
he sort of is under pressure because Banton will be back from the IPL.
Well, not until the end of this first run of county championship.
Well, no, but I mean, he looks like the vulnerable one. Well, him and Josh Thomas, I suppose. So he kind of is under pressure a little bit. You think?
Not yet, though.
No. But what I'm saying is, Tom Abel could have a pretty ropey 6 or 7 games.
No,
probably unlikely.
He's not going to have a ropey 6 or 7.
But no, but if he did, he would still probably be ahead of the second order than Lewis Goldsworthy. Okay, but you know what I mean. He's still he hasn't sort of leapfrogged anybody in seniority or the pecking order. You know what I mean? He's still probably the one whose head's most likely to be on the metaphorical chopping block.
Yeah, but he's got seven games available. Six games. Yeah, 7 games.
I think he's.
Well, he has. If
he can't, this is his big chance. It's make or break. He's got 7 games to show that he's worth his place in the Somerset middle order. If he doesn't do it, well, tough. But he's not under any immediate pressure. He doesn't feel when he walks out to bat, he doesn't feel, I've got to score, big runs here. or I'll be out next game. He won't be out next game. He'll be back in next game.
You're not picking Archie Vaughan.
We forgot about Archie.
Not in the middle order, I don't think. I think Archie Vaughan and Josh Thomas are probably, the interchangeable ones. I think Lewis Goldsworthy's earned an extended run at 5 or 6.
His history is in and out, and I still think, I think I think he deserves the run that you're describing, and he didn't do anything to suggest that he shouldn't play the next game. Minimum.
Yeah, I mean, I think he will score runs. I mean, what if you said you gave Lewis Goldsworthy a full championship season? What do you reckon he'd get? 800-900 runs for that?
He'd average mid-30s, I reckon.
Yeah, and
he ought to get 1,000 runs. Any first division batsman worth his salt ought to be getting 1,000 runs if he plays the whole season.
He's got 100 at Chelmsford before, so
he has. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Last autumn.
Good stuff. Anything else to have a little chat about from the weekend's game?
Fielding wasn't very good.
Yeah, James Rew dropped a bit of a clanger on the last
Craig Overton put one down as well.
He wasn't happy with that, was he? Third slip.
Pretorius bowled well.
Oh yes, Mickey P's back.
Yeah, he's fit, isn't he? So he
given the interest in overseas bowlers, overseas seamers, we haven't got two, we got one, and our one gave a good account of himself.
Yeah, absolutely. Not looking like he's suffered any ill effects.
He's had a nice rest, though, hasn't he? He should be fit and recharged, really, ironically.
Well, looking ahead then, we travel to Chelmsford for a championship match over next weekend, Monday to Friday. Are we making any changes? I mean, assuming Lewis Gregory's fit, he will come in for Jake Ball.
Yeah.
And apart from that, it's as you were, gents. And if Lewis Gregory's not available,
I think he will be. He was warming up, bowling in the nets and what have you yesterday. So I'd be surprised if he isn't available.
Hypothetically, would you stick with Jake Ball, or would you maybe look to? Well, so you could bring in another spinner.
If not, if JT Langridge is fit, I think he ought to be given a chance. I'd rather see him given a chance than dear old Jake Ball. Lovely bloke who he is. Got if we're not having a second overseas in order to give our young fast bowlers a chance to show what they can do, then we ought to be giving our young fast bowlers a chance to show what they can do.
See what they can do, yes.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
Yeah, although you need a sort of balance of ages and experiences in the attack, and that would be quite a raw attack, having Ogborne and Langridge in the same team. But I don't know, I'd be inclined to stick with the side we've got. I don't think there's any particular reason to bring Josh Shaw in to rest Ball after one game. And
you could have ended that sentence.
Lewis's fitness.
You could have ended that sentence halfway through, and I'd have been nodding with you. So I don't think there's any reason to bring Josh Shaw in. Full stop.
Well, we haven't seen it yet.
Bloke a chance.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what. No. I'll eat humble pie if he takes 5 for at Chelmsford. But
I don't think he'll be playing at Chelmsford.
No.
We don't think it's the greatest signing, but they don't tend to make really terrible signings. So they've obviously seen something in here that they feel they can work with. I mean, he didn't sign himself. We signed him. So, we obviously think there's something there.
Yeah, but I think it's for white ball.
Stop giggling at the back there, Tancock.
Yeah.
It's white ball that they've signed him for, not
Yeah, I think so.
I'm old enough to be allowed to be cantankerous at times, chaps.
Fair enough. All right, then. Done and dusted then. Quick look at the championship table then. I should have clicked on
Well,
the
Essex are
screen.
top, aren't they?
Well, Essex are top. I mean, let's have a little look around. Another ex-Somerset player, Sonny Baker, had a bit of a quiet game. So Essex on 22. Warwickshire, who, you know, if they're going to prepare those sorts of pitches at Edgbaston every week with the seam bowling attack that they've got, I don't think they're going to win the championship. I think they need to start, winning their own games and preparing a few spicy ones, a bit like Durham did back in the day. Notts and Somerset on 13, Glamorgan on 12, Surrey on 11, Sussex on 10. Although they won, they've got the points deduction. Leicester on 3, Hampshire on 2, and the funniest bit of the week. Where is it? Just let me get the Division 2 table up. Gloucestershire travelled all the way to London and came home with one less point than they started with. Oh dear, Cameron Bancroft's side, was it? They got absolutely hammered and then docked a point or two for a slow over 8. Absolutely brilliant. God bless the Gloucesters. Oh dear. What else happened? What else happened? We had royalty in the press box on Friday, didn't we?
Yeah.
Michael Atherton of the London Times came down. He wrote a brilliant piece that came out in Saturday's paper, which was very complimentary there. Do have a look if you can. Jamie Cox came up to the press box to sort of chat with Athers and to kind of have those bits and bobs for the piece. They were talking for about an hour, and that press box could be a bit of a raucous place, and it was literal silence just listening to these two guys chat to each other for an hour, and just about cricket really. And you sort of 14-year-old me, kind of sort of 14 to 20-year-old me, kind of had to pinch myself that these two guys that you sort of seen watching, you kind of stood 2 foot away from them, just listened to them chat. It was really really nice moment for me. I mean, he is I'd said to you, Pete, I don't get sort of starstruck a lot around cricketers, but he was sort of growing up. Atherton was kind of the protagonist in England cricket in the 90s, wasn't he? He was sort of this very sort of not downtrodden, but he always felt he was fighting against the system to get the side he wants, to get central contracts, fighting literally against some of the greatest bowlers to have ever played the game, and certainly responsible for some of the most memorable moments I had watching cricket growing up. So
He's a thoughtful writer, and he cares about the county championship, doesn't he? I bumped into him, and I said to him, I assume you're obliged to, you're down here because you're following the county champions, and he said, well, no, not really. He said, I looked on at what the fixture list was. I thought there's no more interesting fixture to come to than Nottinghamshire against Somerset. Got on the train at Paddington and come down, and I'm here for the day. So, good for him. And we don't get that much coverage of county championship in the national papers. And when you have a lovely piece like that and a huge picture of the churches, in Taunton, what's not to like?
And a good plug for the museum as well.
Yes.
And Millerchampton Hall as well. So I wonder if he's got a couple of free bats off of them as well. They are really good bats, those Millerchampton Halls. Honestly, I mean, I've never been able to afford one personally, but all the people that I've heard, they've said that Millerchampton Hall really are the finest handmade cricket bats money can buy. And although they may be expensive, they are excellent value. So that's just thought I'd say that for no apparent reason at all. Anyway, moving on. It was. So it was a joy to spend the day in the press box with Athers.
Can I also say thank you to Anthony for not disappointing me by mentioning Eli's within the first 10, probably 11 minutes of commentary. That is definitely the earliest mention of Eli's ever in a county championship season.
It was
because was that an AI-generated stat, Steve, or did you do your research?
No, it was not. It was Steve Pittard told me it was the earliest start to a county championship season ever on April the 3rd.
Don't think so.
I had to get it in early.
No, the earliest was on April the 2nd when Don Bradman and Sachin Tendulkar opened the batting.
But it was perfect because you switched on to listen. The season started. You're all excited, and then you feel like you've never been away. And October to March just evaporated from my consciousness, and I was back in the ring straight away. So thank you, Gibbo.
Well, pleasure.
I
Thank
mean,
you. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Steve. He's even as we speak, he's working away on a file of stats for Essex against Somerset at the weekend.
Probably
yes,
Anthony's got him
you're off.
locked in a room behind him, not allowed out until the pack is complete.
So you're off. You're off east, are you, Gibbo, for all 4 days?
Yep.
Peter, are you going as well?
No, I'm missing this one for family reasons, unfortunately. But then I feel like
I'm
I've been
working.
to Chelmsford quite a lot down the ages, and yeah, it's a long way to go to a slightly tired ground. But you're about to say, Gibbo, that you're working with toppers, aren't you?
With toppers. I got 2 days
Oh,
with
good old
toppers.
Coppers.
I expect we'll be talking about the 100.
Yeah.
He's a great fan, and I'm not.
Oh dear. I'm just trying to find the scorecard. Here it is for Hampshire women. Sorry, 1 second.
Oh yes, I popped
Yeah,
down
we're
there
not.
this afternoon. That's a privilege of being very local. The sun was shining. I did what I needed to do. I popped down and saw Sophie Luff, who was running the drinks, and we were playing very well. Hampshire were batted their 50 overs, Hampshire women,
Yeah.
and lost 13 wickets. And we knocked off the runs and kept going. And yeah, we're looking a lot better than it seems we performed against Warwickshire in the other
We won.
pre-season
We
friendly,
beat
where
Warwickshire.
we managed
We
to
beat
lose 20
Warwickshire
wickets.
comfortably.
Yeah, but I couldn't find the
The fact
scorecard
that
for
we
that, so
lost
I'm going to
20
have to go
wickets to
from
their
memory.
10 is
We
neither
did
here nor
win.
there.
I think we
240
did
for
win,
20.
Yeah, we lost far too many wickets. We batted first. We lost about like 210 for 25 or something, and then we restricted them to something like 200 for 9, whatever it was. But there seems to be a collective agreement to bat your full 50 overs, come what may, in both the innings. So yeah.
Well, they're on the up. The trajectory is in the right direction. So for anyone
Yeah.
who's around in Taunton on Saturday, the women have
Saturday.
their opening fixture against Yorkshire.
Debut game in charge for Erin Osborne, the new Somerset women's head coach. Very impressive cat. Apparently, this is what Spencer told me. So she did the walkers and talkers, and on the strength of her kind of her session, and how she came across and her knowledge and how she spoke, they sold, I think, 4 or 5 women's memberships immediately. A couple of people just walked straight round to the reception in the Marcus Trescott Pavilion and bought their women's memberships. And I can wholeheartedly agree, because she was very impressive at the Members' Day. I think all the girls are speaking very highly about how she's come across and what she wants them to do, and
Very down to earth.
The fact that, yeah, absolutely. I think if we ever needed a new head coach for the men, she'd probably be up there as a very impressive candidate. I think she's very, very, very impressive. So good luck to Erin, good luck to Sophie Luff and all the team as they start on as Peter said, against Yorkshire on Saturday, and that's in the 50 overs competition, which it's still called the Metro Bank One Day Cup, isn't it? They've not got a new sponsor for that yet. So Metro Bank Fever starting on Saturday. What other news have we had going on then before we jump into some listeners' questions? I think I've done all of my notes for the game. Quickly nip into listeners' questions. John Hayes asked about the declaration. Should we have declared earlier? I don't think we could have done. And Glamorgan against Yorkshire is probably a different pitch, as you say. Tim Knight, I see that Andrew Cornish, last but two CEO who left under a cloud, is now in trouble at Middlesex. Were we ever told why he had to leave Somerset?
No.
I've heard rumours.
Yes,
Nothing
well,
that
we've
I
all
would
heard
feel,
rumours. Well, I know quite a
nothing
bit
that I
about it,
would
but
feel legally confident
I
in
haven't
repeating in
signed
a
an
public
NDA,
forum.
but I don't think it would be sensible to reveal what I know.
Yes, so
The only
sorry, we
surprise, the
can't be
only
of any more
surprise is
help
that
then, but,
Middlesex employed him in the first place.
well, indeed. Good stuff then. So we're all going to be, I hope we've all kept our noses clean with regards to talking about Mr. Cornish's departure. Do we have any other business? The recruitment for the new chairs going very well, I hear, Pete. There's
Closing date
I don't
is
know.
Friday.
Closing date's Friday. Have you got your
Get
CV
your
in yet?
applications in.
Yeah, Dan's done his, I've heard, and
Right.
Tractor's sent his in as well. So we
If Dan were the chair of Somerset, they would never have had that fake news about James Rue, would we?
Yes, yes. Dan would, their heads would have rolled.
They would.
That's the power of that's what happens when nature abhors a vacuum, or whatever that means. Something like that. Good stuff then. Any other business before we knock this one on the head for next week? Until next week?
No. See you next week.
I think so.
I'm going to be working Ventura next week, so I'll be keeping an eye on the game as much as I can. I always seem to be on holiday when we play Essex.
Oh well.
You don't fancy a week in Chelmsford?
Well, that's probably it.
Chelmsford has some good pubs, and I shall be in them with Tractor and Co.
Okay. Has he got any good cricket grounds?
Well, I agree with what Peter said. My description of Chelmsford is ramshackle.
Yes, it does look like it's made. It's kind of made of scaffolding and papier-mâché when you sort of scratch the surface.
But actually, it's a nice place. It's a good ground to watch county cricket.
It has like Taunton. It has the charm of being a genuinely
it has a soul,
town stroke city centre location.
Yeah,
I enjoy Chelmsford. Yeah.
Let's hope you say that this time next week.
Indeed.
Well, we're out for revenge after what happened at the tail end of last season.
That
was dismal.
Yeah, I think we're a bit more happy then. But
being bowled out for 99. Yeah. Dear.
All right. Good stuff, chaps.
All right.
See
you soon.
Thanks for listening.
Cheers.
See you all.
Bye.